I thought long and hard about how you address this enormous story that's far too big to encompass in a movie. There's 400,000 people involved. You have time as a filmmaker, you have years of planning to put into this experience of the audience.
And dealing with a big subject, and brought Warner Brothers along with him in the exact way Stanley Kubrick would have done, bringing Warner Brothers along with him. And they backed him 100%.
And so I wanted to address the story very much in the language of suspense. So everything for me in this film is about intensity and suspense. It's about trying to stay in a human scale of storytelling, but get across with clarity the larger movements of the evacuation.
Well, it's like, I think, well, one of the things about Nolan is, you know, if he can do it in real life, he's going to do it.
You're then creating an environment in which other things are naturally going to arise, other concentrations, other emphasis is going to be there, because the emphasis is not on the words. It therefore starts to become about other things. It can be sound, it can be music, it can be picture, a combination of all three.
He has about 4 or 5 just of great shots of an artist, of a great director, whether it's like when the ships are tilting and the weird angle that he gets that shows the ship tilting and the water rushing in. I mean, he just keeps doing that all the time. He keeps making it an artistic experience.
But then you sit down and you write the script from page 1 right through to the end of the film, the way the audience is going to be receiving that information. I approach the structure from a very mathematical and geometrical point of view. A lot of diagrams, a lot of careful planning about how I was then going to write the script. We use a French destroyer from the 1950s to play a British destroyer, and we dress it as well as we can, but it's 80 feet longer. You know, there are differences from the historical record. But for me, the feeling of authenticity of having a real boat there that actors are actually interacting with, as opposed to an authentic CG recreation of the historical reality.
He can do it practically, where all he has to do is send it to the lab afterwards. That's how he's going to do it. That's what makes it a good shot, as opposed to a paint set that you can paint anything you want. So things might have been sweetened later, but I would imagine that, you know, he put the kid on the ground, he created his frame, and then created a series of explosions that got closer and closer and closer. And my guess is he probably had a dummy for the guy that explodes, but he animated it later after the fact.
You're looking at their physical situation, you're looking at the task they're faced with physically, and you don't want to be in that position. The film is dragging you into an empathetic relationship with them through the openness of their expressions and the genuineness of their reaction. It's based on a musical structure called the shepherd tone, which is a musical illusion whereby you can keep climbing up the scale.
It consists of several tones separated by an octave layered on top of each other. As the tones move up the scale, the highest pitch tone gets quieter, the middle pitch remains loud, and the lowest bass pitch starts to become audible. Because you can always hear at least 2 tones rising in pitch at the same time, your brain is tricked into perceiving a constant ascending tone. Loop it all together,
you create the idea of a continuing rise in intensity.
the ticking makes way for an overwhelming orchestra that seems like it's rising higher and higher, but never actually does.
Sound has a lot of importance in most of Nolan's movies, and Dunkirk is not the exception. Regardless, in order for us to listen to the amazing music and sounds, the sound and music teams faced a lot of challenges. For starters, the movie was filmed on the northwest French coast under harsh conditions including rain and wind, which meant almost no sound was obtained from the direct sound recordings. According to the supervisor sound editor, Richard King, all they were able to use were the voices. The sound mixer, Mark Weingarten, faced the challenge of salvaging them. Another particularity from the film was the decision to use original recordings of all the machinery and transportation present in the film, such as Spitfire planes using 20 to 25 microphones, staying away from pre-recorded libraries. The technical aspects of the recording and mixing are also astonishing. King estimates that for a sequence in which 2 soldiers ran carrying a stretcher, they used 30 to 40 tracks, while for scenes like the ship getting torpedoed, the number of tracks was into the hundreds. While King and his team gathered sounds, re-recording mixer Gary Rizzo and his group mixed these layers of sound with the dialogue and Hans Zimmer's score. Also, Nolan has a lot of say in the decisions taken to achieve the final sound. According to King, he likes a punk quality to his tracks, raw and aggressive and a bit in your face. We didn't want anything familiar, so it wouldn't remind the audience of other war movies. That would diminish things. We tried to rethink every sound. For example, when a bomb falls in most battle films, the sounds get fainter before impact. But when you think about it, says King, the noise should increase in pitch as it gets closer. We reversed all incoming shell sounds so they rose in pitch. In the end, we can see that it is not a coincidence that the sound in the movie is astonishing. After just a little bit of research, we can find out why they earned both the Oscar for sound mixing and sound editing. The search for being authentic and rethinking every sound heard in a movie led to the whole sound department to achieve one of the best and most innovative jobs done in film.